What's going on, everybody? So, I saw this article from PC Gamer I kind of wanted to go over. It says id Software producer says you'll never get another WoW or Morrowind in the current climate in the wake of Xbox layoffs. These large publishers and monopolies have proven themselves terrible stewards. When you purchase through links on our site, you may earn okay, my bad. I can read. Caught up in the wave of Xbox recent reset layoffs that occurred last week, id Software has been hit particularly hard. And while official statements given by the studio maintain that it's still of a decent enough size to make the kind of games it's used to, the sentiments at odds with many of these developers who were laid off. It's even at odds with some of the devs still working there. Id Software producer Andrew Willis, who was a large part of the studio's effort to unionize back in 2025, has made a series of posts on LinkedIn, which are still understandably furious despite the studio's official stance that things aren't all ruined. Now, right here where it talks about they wanted to unionize, I was part of a union at a grocery store a long time ago, and basically we were paying union dues, and they didn't do shit for me. We're paying these dues because if you didn't, it was management against you, is how they made it seem, and all this other nonsense, and it was pointless. If you talk to anybody who could, any of your grandparents, whatever, who were around during the time of unions actually doing shit, they could have got stuff accomplished, made sure you're getting paid a fair wage, benefits, all that stuff. Today's unions just want money from you to do absolutely nothing. I mean, we were seeing it from Bethesda, right? Where they just had all these layoffs too. And they're like, oh, well, we're going to go pick it because we're in a union. And it's like, well, you're kind of making the point of why people are getting fired because you're not making shit. I think the only way to fix video game industry at this point is for developer owned studios to start rising from these studio closures and layoffs. Well, this is the thing. You guys chose to be bought up. Like, I know it's all planning and stuff with this, and that, and it's completely different, right? Than somebody saying, oh, well, we want to get this game published, but we're still going to be our own thing, right? No, you guys chose to be bought up. The people at the top chose to let PlayStation, Xbox, and even Nintendo, right, buy them up. So you have no one to blame for but yourselves when your studios get closed down from these big companies because you chose to be bought. Not to mention the time you guys have wasted not making shit because everyone wants to make everything photorealistic. There's nothing wrong with having a game that looks like The Last of Us, pretty visuals, everything that's good. But if it's going to take you almost 5 to 8 years to make, you need to reevaluate what you're making out there. Make a game that has graphics like the Xbox and PS2 generations, but gameplay and a story, if it's single player, out of this world. That's what you need to do. Give me a game like Final Fantasy X on the PS2, Metal Gear Solid 2, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, graphics like that have the story and gameplay to keep me entertained and occupied and so enthralled with this game that I would recommend it to other people. Writes Willis, we've got to learn from the past, be fiscally responsible, and create an environment of sustainable growth. Through growth should be a byproduct of success, not a goal in and of itself. So you're saying we need to learn from our past. If you would learn from your past, you know how to make games in a timely manner. Again, go to Bethesda, how they showed off Elder Scrolls 6 title screen and nothing. A return to growth was, after all, mentioned in Xbox CEO Asha Sharma's announcement. We will return to growth in 2027. Sharma said, "Mine." That was also in the same post that announced there'd be another 1,600 layoffs happening by 2027. But hey, it's pretty standard tagline for most big businesses, sometimes to keep the shareholders happy. Either way, Willis remains unimpressed. It's the only path forward I can see, and these large publishers and monopolies have proven themselves terrible stewards and somehow even worse financial managers. If the people who create the value own that value, good things will follow. I'm just like, I don't know what to really say without repeating myself a million times. If you guys can make stuff in a timely manner, not go over your budgets, you will have a product that people will like. And also, the agenda driven stuff, we get that, right? We're just talking about making a good product in a timely manner without going into the hundreds of millions of dollars in budget, right? It just seems like they can't get that through their heads on how to do it. I don't know. I really don't know. In a follow post, Willis adds the game industry must change if it's going to create art and franchises that have long term sustainable value. Right now, it feels like most monopolies that control it are simply trying to extract as much goodwill and value. Goodwill and value? Has this really seems like this guy, and I know it's also a good thing, right? That you're not just paying attention to what's going on X or, maybe any other site that's been posting stuff from someone like me or you out there, right? But it's like you saying the goodwill and value, you've had people in the comic industry, movie industry, and the games industry. If you don't like my product, if you vote a certain way, if you think a certain way, do not buy my thing. And what do we do? Not buy it. It's just a plain and simple. The gaming industry has been putting out some great games, but also a lot of turds. So don't say goodwill and value, especially if you want to talk about value going for PlayStation pulling physical media and having all their gamers rely on digital only compared to having an amazing digital only future that is on PC with the amazing deals you could find online there. So don't even talk to me about that. That took decades to build, as they can, with a little concern for diminishing returns. It's lending to. Let's also talk about this real quick because I see it kind of talking about here. But you have established franchises like Halo, Gears, and I want to pull Dragon Age 2 out of there. Dragon Age: The Veilguard was a colossal piece of shit. You put modern day agenda politics into that fucking fantasy game, a game that has to do with dragons and sorcery with non-binary pronouns and shit like that. You ruined it. You absolutely ruined the franchise. And then you have games like Halo to where Microsoft had to lay up for a banger with Halo Infinite and they had to postpone it. They had to separate the multiplayer from the campaign, and then you had a forgettable experience when it came to Infinite stuff, basic features that weren't even in the game, the multiplayer when it launched. And where is it now? A handful of people are still playing it. Same thing with Gears. With also going back to Halo, also where you had this story that was just complete dog shit with Gears 4 and 5. You had a boring story in 4 and a dog shit story in 5. And where's Gears 6? Nowhere to be seen after all these fucking years going into a prequel story. Just like Halo, you had Infinite, which was you could say future story. But what happened with all the stuff after Halo 5? Maybe some books, but no video game that most of the people who love the series of Halo buy. So you had stuff with Cortana and the Guardians, and then we shift to, the Banished and Master Chief. And it's like, well, what happened with the Guardians and Cortana? She was ready to wait, nothing? Oh, okay. But what do you do after Infinite? You don't try to maybe connect the story pieces to make it more, coherent for people. You go back to Halo 1 for the third fucking time. So don't come at me about goodwill and value And, with these older franchises that you guys have spit in the face of. Don't even fucking come at me with that bullshit. This is what happens when the people who control, mostly Ivy League MBAs, do not play games, have never shipped a game, and fundamentally do not understand the industry they manage. You'll never get another WoW, Morrowind in the current climate. Talk about that too. Only Elder Scrolls I have played has been Oblivion and Skyrim. In terms of Morrowind, you've had how long? Not even in terms of a remake, not even a remastered. You've had how long in where's that new Morrowind? Nowhere. In terms of WoW, the new WoW, you could technically say Final Fantasy 14. From what I understand from big MMO players, that was like the next really big MMO. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. That's just what I heard. So you had Final Fantasy 14 to basically be technically the next big MMO. But I don't know how you could do an MMO to be on the same level as World of Warcraft. I really don't. But in terms of Morrowind, you had time before Microsoft bought you guys to do it. And instead, you made Skyrim, you did other stuff, but it's like you can't say in the current climate, we'll never get another this, we'll never get another that, when you guys have wasted time. Whose fault is that? I don't feel sorry for these people losing their jobs. Because if it came down to my job or your job or Steve's job or Amy's job, they're not going to feel sorry for you losing your job for whatever reason. But we could say Steve over there works at Walmart. He has to get shit done. If he's stocking shelves, he got to stock the juice. He has to stock the lunch meat, right? For people to come into the store to buy it. Because if he doesn't, no one's buying it. They're not making money. And then he gets fired. Amy's working at fucking Chili's, right? She's a waitress. If she doesn't take people's orders to do her job, to give people food, she's not making money. The company's not making money. And she gets fired. So with these people here, the one thing we don't see is what are they really doing day-to-day basis. Yes, we know they're making games, but what are they doing on a day-to-day basis to where they're sitting there at the computers fucking making games? Not to mention during COVID, when they had to work at home, it really seemed like everything was at a standstill, right? Now keep in mind, computer parts, to my knowledge, weren't that expensive at that point. So you got to take your computer home, or they send you a computer to work at home with, however it worked. And then what? You still dragged your asses on shit. So don't even come at me like you'll never get another this is that. You won't get them unless you fucking try. Not to mention, I'm gonna go to Steam. I'm gonna go to my Steam library real quick. My wish list. There is a game on here. When you see you'll never get another game like that, right? This game right here, which is a successor to Star Fox 64. This game right here. So when you say you'll never get another Star Fox 64, right? Technically it's true. You got what, the fourth or fifth iteration of Star Fox that came to the Switch too. This right here, you got an all new game that looks just like Star Fox. So these games are possible. So don't fucking come at me saying, "Oh, you'll never get these games nowadays," and blah blah blah. When if you actually do your fucking job at making games, it will happen. So again, don't fucking come at me. This game is First Squadron Phoenix. Go and check it out. I'm interested in it, just not really buying it right now because, well, I got other stuff to play. So yeah, and also with the current climate, don't put your modern day politics into it. It's not saying you can't have a game like BioShock that has political stuff in it. We're not saying modern day stuff where it's like, oh, trans rights or human rights, non-binary bullshit, right? If you do want to make a game like that, make it separate from trying to inject it into like a game that is a well-established IP. While I'm not wholly convicted that you need to play video games to be in charge of a company that makes them, I do think you need to be humble enough to delegate or listen to the people who do. And humility is clearly rare within the executive suite. You had Phil Spencer, who was this person, and what happened? What? Dog shit. I do think that these people, the big CEOs, Don't have to be like me wanting to stream video games. Don't have to be someone who plays video games 24/7, right? At least pick up a controller like, "Oh, we got the new Halo coming out." Try it. Be like, "Oh, set it to that's what difficulties are, right? Set it to easy." Like, "Oh, this is kind of fun. Oh, yeah, this it feels good, right?" That's all you got to do. Again, you don't have to be a hardcore fucking gamer, but at least play the shit your company's putting out. But Phil Spencer was that, and look at the state of Xbox. So it's not win with any of this shit. I also agree with Will's assessment that you probably wouldn't get another World of Warcraft in this climate. It's something I've spoken to on our MMO column before, but at this but at this might be proving his point. I think we're getting plenty of games that are at least on par with the classics from smaller independent studios. Exactly, like I just showed you that Star Fox game or Star Fox spiritual successor. You are getting stuff like that. If you not if you're on console, sift through the store. With Steam, it's a little bit easier because you get to see all this stuff from blah blah blah. But yeah, you're getting the stuff out there. You just have to look at it. Because again, let me go back here. This game, I forgot where I originally saw this from. But this isn't a game that's getting the advertisement that you would think. I mean, it only got 28 reviews right here. Just came out. But this game's not wouldn't get a push from like PlayStation or Xbox. Independent game, people. That doesn't mean it's easy though. Studios like Larian, which is shareholder free. Okay, 10 cents is non controlling stake, but it's 10 cent. Those guys are everywhere. Are a bit of an anomaly. Larian itself surviving brushes with bankruptcy in the past. Point being, sticking it to the man is hard, bloody work. Worth doing, mind, but not guaranteed of safety for anybody. So yeah, that's it. I want you guys to comment down below because I really do value everyone's input, whether you agree with me or not. How do you feel about this article? How do you feel about them saying you won't get, you know, a new WoW or Morrowind, but instead they make games? Should be playing games. This guy wants, the CEOs to play games. It doesn't seem like they're playing games to see what gamers really want. We just want fun stuff without modern day agendas, without games being censored. That's all we want. So only time will tell going forward. But that's my input on this subject, this article here for PC Gamer. Comment down below. Give me your guys' inputs on what you think about what I read here. And do you think that this guy is just full of shit? I don't know, man. All I got to say is if you actually put your time and effort into making a game and not use it as a money laundering scheme or as an excuse to take 7 years to put out a product when you have a team of hundreds of people, maybe we can stop making up excuses. But that's all I got to say about this subject. If you guys could, check out the link in the description. I live stream pretty regularly. Shameless plug. Right now I'm playing Digimon Cyber Sleuth right now. I'm having a lot of fun with it. Check me out right here on YouTube, Twitch, or Kick, wherever you want to watch it. And with that being said, I'm done. I'm out. Comment down below. Check out my live streams. You guys take care, and I will see everybody in the next video or live stream. Take care.